Dear learners, so far we learned the database foundation, analysis and design. Now it is time to implement the database design by using a tool. The Oracle is used for implementation. However, there are other tools also available such as MS Access. Introduction. This unit gives knowledge of hands-on experience to use SQL. It focuses on the creation, modification, deletion and manipulation of tables. Objectives. The objectives of the unit are to understand how to create tables, alter the tables, delete the tables, insert rows into a table, manipulate simple queries, use built-in functions, manage multiple tables. SQL Introduction. SQL is the abbreviation of Structured Query Language. It is pronounced as SQL or SQL. It has become a standard language for creating and querying the relational database. The users can manipulate database tables with little experience by applying simple commands. SQL command modes. The SQL commands are implemented on mainframe computers, client-server environment, or personal computers. There are two modes of implementation, which are embedded. The SQL commands are placed inside the host program and are executed along with it. Interact. The SQL commands are placed and executed on SQL prompt directly. SQL users. The database administrator may define many SQL users just like a network manager defines the network users. Every user has its own username and password assigned by the database administrator. The SQL provides two default generic users. DBA, the username is system and password is manager. Generic user, the username is Scott and password is Tiger. However, the SQL user on PC may create new DBA, then may create many users. SQL Data Types. Dear learners, let us now discuss various data types that SQL supports. These are character. CHAR is the abbreviation of character data type. The character values consist of upper or lowercase letters, numbers, or special characters such as plus, minus, dollar, and many more. The maximum length is 255 characters. Here is the general form. The general form starts with reserved word CHAR, followed by required length enclosed in parentheses. Number. The number data type values consist of digits from 0 to 9 with an optional prefix plus or minus sign or a decimal point. 40 digits is the maximum width of a value. The decimal point, plus or minus, if any, are not counted as digits. The number data type takes two forms. Integer. The integer number data type consists of integer numbers with optional plus or minus sign. Here is the general form. The general form starts with the reserved word number followed by required length enclosed in parentheses. Real. The real number data type consists of real numbers. Here is the general form. The general form starts with the reserved word number followed by required length. The required length consists of integer and real part separated by comma and enclosed in parentheses. Date. The date data type stores values from January 1st, 4712 BC to December 31st, 4712 AD. The date data type has fixed length and is not required to be defined. The date data type takes many forms, but the default form is as shown. Here is the general form. SQL commands. Dear learners, now it is time to discuss SQL commands, which are grouped as data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language. The data definition language is used to define the table, alter the table, drop or delete the table, establish certain constraints on the table. The data manipulation language is used to mainly querying the table, updating the table, inserting rows into the table. The data control language is used to maintain security of table, administration of privileges on tables. Let us now discuss each in more detail. Data definition language. The data definition language commands include create table, alter table, insert. Here is the detail of each. Create table command. The purpose of create table command is to create a new table. The general form is shown as. The general form starts with the reserved word create table followed by table name followed by list of columns separated by comma and enclosed in parentheses. Let us see an example that demonstrates how to create a table. This command creates a table student. Alter table command. The purpose of alter table command is to modify the structure of an existing table. There are two types of modifications. These are add new column to a table, increase width of an existing column, add new column. The general form of add new column to an existing table is shown as. The general form starts with the reserved word alter table followed by a table name followed by another reserved word add followed by list of columns to be added which are enclosed in parentheses and separated by comma. Here is the example to add column city to student table. Increase width of an existing column. The general form of alter table command to increase width of an existing column starts with the reserved word alter table, followed by a table name, followed by another reserved word modify, followed by list of columns with increased width, which are enclosed in parentheses and separated by comma. Here is the example to increase the width of column city to 25 characters in the table student. Dear learners, let us now discuss insert command. The purpose of insert command is to insert rows into a table. There are two forms. Insert values for all columns. Insert values for selected columns. Let us discuss each in detail. Insert values for all columns. If it is required to insert values for all columns for a given row in a table, then the general form of insert command starts with the reserved word insert into, followed by table name, followed by another reserved word values, followed by list of values separated by comma and enclosed in parentheses. Dear learners, it is important to note that the values specified must be in the same order as the order of the columns in the table. Now it is time to learn how to insert a row into the table. Here is the example to insert a row into the table student. Insert values for selected columns. If it is required to insert values for selected columns for a given row, then the general form of insert command starts with a reserved word insert into, followed by table name, followed by list of selected columns separated by comma and enclosed in parentheses, followed by another reserved word values, followed by list of values which are separated by comma and enclosed in parentheses. Inserting null values. The null value means no value. It is important to note that 0 and blank space is not a null value. The null value may be assigned to any column except the primary key column or any column defined as not null. Dear learners, consider the table student as shown. The command will insert a null to column city. Inserting date values. The date data type value is enclosed in single quotation marks, just like character data type value as shown. There are many date formats, but the default format is. Consider the table student. The command will insert a date value to column date of birth. Updating rows. Dear learners, The change in already existed data is a frequent practice for various reasons. This can be accomplished by update command. The general form starts with a reserved word update followed by table name, followed by another reserved word set, followed by list of columns, and optionally at the end follows where condition. The column list contains columns separated by comma and each with new value. Dear learners, consider the table student. Let us discuss some queries that update rows. The query is: update program of student from BS to MS whose registration number is equal to 2. The select command applied is the output of this command. It is important to note that if it is required to update single row, then where condition shall be applied on primary key or alternate key. If it is required to update many rows, then where condition shall be applied on secondary key. If it is required to update all rows, then where condition must not be specified. Deleting rows. Dear learners, the removal of unwanted existing data is a frequent practice for various reasons. This can be accomplished by delete command. The general form starts with reserved word delete from, followed by table name, followed by optionally where condition. Dear learners, consider the table student. Let us discuss some queries that delete rows. Student whose registration number is 2. Command applied. The output of this command is: dear learners, multiple rows may be deleted as shown. Querying the table. Dear learners, as you know that data is stored for a reason, that it must be available when needed. Thus, a query is generated for getting quick and ad hoc requirements from database tables. The DML commands are used to manipulate the database, which is discussed in the subsequent section. Display all columns. Dear learners, let us learn how rows of a table are displayed. The select command is used to display values of all columns in a table. The general form starts with a reserved word select, followed by list of columns to be displayed, which are separated by comma, followed by another reserved word from, followed by the table name. Dear learners, it is important to note that the columns specified in the list not necessarily be in the order of columns as defined in the table creation. Here is the example to demonstrate how to display all columns for all rows. This command will display all rows for all columns. Dear learners, if list of columns is very long and all are required to be displayed, there is an easy way to replace the column list with an asterisk. it is important to note that values of columns will be displayed exactly in the order as defined during table creation. The output of this command preventing redundant display of a column. Dear learners, first consider the table student with the rows as shown. If it is required to display list of cities, the command applied is the output resulted. The careful analysis of the output shows redundant information such as city Islamabad and Lahore is displayed twice. This problem is solved by adding distinct to the select command. The output resulted is shown as. Dear learners, this output does not have redundant display. Displaying selected rows. Dear learners, so far we learned to display all rows from a table, but very often it is common requirement to display selected rows. The where clause is added to select command in order to display selected rows. The general form starts with reserved word where followed by condition. The where condition is used to specify the search criteria, and it takes two forms: simple conditions and complex conditions. Let us discuss each in detail. Simple conditions. The simple conditions are those where only one condition is specified in the select command. The general form is the column name is the name of column and operator is the relational operator which actually compares two given sets of values that are value of the column for current row and value of search criteria. The table as shown lists 6 relational operators used with where in select command. Dear learners, consider the table student for given rows. Let us discuss some queries using simple conditions. The query is: display the list of students whose registration number is greater than 3. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Let us see another query that display record of student whose registration number is equal to 2. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Let us see another query that is display the list of students belonging to city Lahore. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Dear learners, it is important to note that the string values comparison is exact matching. That is, this value of student name Danial is different from the value Danial. Let us see another query that is. Display the list of students whose birth date is less than January 1st, 1980. The select command applied is the output of this command is. It is important to note that the date values are written. Let us see another query, that is, display the list of students of all programs except MS. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Dear learners, let us now discuss complex conditions. The complex conditions are those conditions where multiple conditions are specified in a select command. The general form is. The logical operator in the general form is the operator that joins multiple conditions in single expression. There are three such logical operators. These are: the AND operator results in true if both the conditions are true. The OR operator results in true if either of the condition is true. The NOT logical operator negates the value of complex condition. Dear learners, many logical operators may be used in single expression, but the parentheses are cleared first, then AND operators are evaluated from left to right, then OR are evaluated first from left to right, the NOT operator is evaluated finally. Dear learners, consider the table student once again. Let us discuss some queries using complex conditions. The query is: display the list of students who are registered in MS program and belong to city Lahore. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Let us see another query, that is, display the list of students who are registered in MS program or belong to city Lahore. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Another query, that is, display the list of students who do not belong to city Lahore or Peshawar. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Display the list of students who do not belong to city Lahore or Peshawar and belong to city Karachi. The select command applied is. The output of this command. Display rows in range. Dear learners, so far we learned to display rows either all or selected. but very often it is required to display selected rows in a specified range. The AND logical operator and a special operator between are used to display rows in particular range. Dear learners, consider the table student. Let us discuss some queries that display rows in a range. The query is, display the list of students whose GPA is between 3 and 3.8. The select command applied is, the output of this command is the between operator is a special operator used as alternative to AND logical operator for displaying rows in a range. The output of this command is Dear learners, the between operator can be negated with using not to display only rows outside the range. Let us see another query, that is, display the list of students whose GPA is less than 3 and greater than 3.8. The select command applied is, the output of this command is displaying rows from a list. The OR logical operator and a special operator in are used to display rows from a given list not in a range. Dear learners, consider the table student. Let us discuss some queries that display rows from a list not in a range. The query is, display the list of students whose GPA is either 2 or 3 or 2.5 or 3.8. The select command applied is shown as, the output of this command is shown as. The in operator is a special operator used as alternative to OR logical operator for displaying rows from the list not in a range. The output of this command is shown as Dear learners, the in operator can be negated with using not to display only rows outside the range. Let us see another query, that is, display the list of students whose GPA is not equal to 2 or 3 or 2.5 or 3.8. The select command applied is, the output of this command is shown as displaying rows matching a character pattern. The like is a special operator used to select rows that partially match a pattern of characters. The like operator recognizes two special characters. % means any sequence of characters. Underscore means single character. Dear learners, consider the table student. Consider the query. Display the name of students whose name begins with D, whatever the rest of characters are. The select command applied is, The output of this command is shown as. Let us see another query, that is, display the name of students whose name begins with D or A, whatever the rest of characters are. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Dear learners, suppose we cannot remember whether an employee Daud spells his name D-A-U-D or D-A-W-O-O-D or D-A-O-D. Use an underscore within the character value to indicate one character. Display rows in order. Dear learners, so far we learned queries that display all rows are selected in same order as they are fetched. But very often it is required to control the order of display. This can be done by adding the order by clause to a select command. The general form is shown as. The general form starts with reserved word select followed by list of columns, followed by another reserved word from, followed by table name, followed by another reserved word order by, followed by type of order, that is either ascending or descending. The default order is ascending and does not need to be specified. The order by clause, when present, must be the last clause in a select command. When order by columns that contain null values, the null entries are always displayed first, regardless of choosing ascending or descending order. Dear learners, consider the table student. Let us discuss some queries that display rows in order. The query is, display records of students alphabetically arranged in ascending order by name. The select command applied is. The output of this command is. Dear learners, the order by may be used with many columns. SQL functions. Dear learners, so far using SQL we learnt how to display all rows, how to display selected rows either in a range or from a list, how to display these rows in an order, how to update rows, how to delete rows. But very often it is common requirement to manipulate data in the database tables. The SQL provides built-in functions in addition to other processing capabilities. The SQL provides these built-in functions. Character string manipulation like rtrim, ltrim, upper, lower. Numeric calculations like average, count, maximum, minimum, sum. Date calculation like sysdate. Convert data from one data type to another like character to row ID to character. The numeric functions are discussed in more detail in the subsequent section. Numeric functions. The numeric functions are such functions which are used for manipulation of numeric data type columns. There are two types of numeric functions. These are individual and group. Let us discuss each in more detail. Individual numeric functions. The individual numeric functions return a value for each row selected. Dear learners, consider the table students. Let us discuss a query using individual numeric function. The query is: display the GPA of each student in integer form. The select command that uses individual numeric function round applied is. The output of this command is numeric functions. The group numeric functions are used to get summarized information from group of rows selected. For example, the average marks obtained by students in a given course. The highest marks obtained by students in a given course. The lowest marks obtained by students in a given course. Dear learners, the group numeric functions are used in two ways: by summarizing one group, by summarizing many groups. By summarizing one group, the rows are selected to form only one group to get one result, such as average marks obtained by students in a given course. The select command that uses group numeric function average applied is. The output of this command is Dear learners, here are few commonly used group numeric functions. Count. It is used to count number of non-null rows. The select command that uses function count is. The output of this command is. Maximum. It is used to display maximum value in a column. The select command that uses function max is. The output of this command It is used to display minimum value in a column. The select command that uses function minimum is. The output of this command is. It is used to display sum of a column. The select command that uses function sum is. The output of this command is shown as. By summarizing many groups. The rows are selected to form many subgroups. It provides the result of each subgroup as well as entire group result. For example, there are 10 departments in an organization with many employees in each department. If it is required to find out the total salary of each department, it is unusual to use some function 10 times used for 10 departments. This could be done by using group by clause, which actually divides the given table into groups of rows. The general form is. The general form starts with reserved word select, followed by a column on which subgroups are required, followed by comma, followed by a group function, followed by another column on which group function is to be applied, followed by optionally where condition, and at the end another reserved word group by, followed by a column on which subgroups are required. Dear learners, look at the table employee. Let us see some queries that use group functions by summarizing many groups. Here is the query of each department. The select command that uses function sum. The output of this command is the select command that uses function average is. The output of this command is. Dear learners, the group by clause is also used to form groups within a group, such as display total salary of each department designation-wise. Thus, two columns are required in this example, that are department, which forms outer group, designation, which forms inner group based on designation in each department. The select command that uses function sum is. The output of this command is. Group selection. Dear learners, so far we used where clause for selection among the given rows. But very often it is required to select groups among given set of groups. The having clause is used for such purpose. For example, consider the query needed in table employee. Display total salary of each department where the number of employees are more than 5. The select command that uses having. The output of this command is. These tables for all subsequent discussion as shown. Look at the table registration. It has two foreign keys that are registration number and course code. Dear learners, let us first learn how a foreign key is defined. There are two ways to define a foreign key in a table. These are during creation of the table, after creation of the table. Let us discuss each in more detail. During creation of the table, the foreign key can be defined during the creation of table. The general form is shown as. The general form starts with reserved word create table followed by table name, followed by list of columns enclosed in parentheses, followed by another reserved word add foreign key, followed by foreign key attribute enclosed in parentheses, followed by another reserved word references, followed by table name, which is referred, followed by primary key attribute enclosed in parentheses. The create table command that defines foreign key is. After creation of the table, the foreign key can also be defined after the creation of table. The general form is shown as. The general form starts with reserved word alter table, followed by table name, followed by another reserved word add foreign key, followed by foreign key attribute enclosed in parentheses, followed by another reserved word references, followed by table name, which is referred, followed by primary key attribute enclosed in parentheses. The alter table command that adds a foreign key is shown as. Dear learners, the definition of foreign keys automatically enforce the referential integrity rules which are beyond the scope of current discussion. Manipulation of multiple tables. So far we learned to manipulate rows in a single table, but very often it is required to join rows of one table with rows of another table. For example, consider student, course, and registration tables for a query shown as display student name with all course titles registered. The select command that uses foreign key is shown as. The output of this command is shown as.